Thank you very much. Right, 314 photos to get through tonight. I'm going to get them because I'm. It's what I've done in the past week or something. They'll be out of date if I don't bugger on. If you've got to go before we end, don't forget it's always on YouTube the day after, so you can catch up then, whatever. Right, any questions for next week? If you can email me them, and then I might have time to get a photo to go with the answer. I.e., a photo is good to have. It's better to have a photo than trying to explain something. That's why I've got loads of photos in my book. I've read loads of books with no photos in whatsoever, and I've bloody forgot it within a week or something. If I've got photos, you can always go back. You remember a photo or anything else. What we're starting off with tonight is exhibiting, doing a bit of getting ready, preparation for the show. I think Nigel brought up last week. But also, if anybody wants to know about organising a committee to run an allotment site, starting up a gardening club, growing certain produce to exhibit, making a schedule for the show, anything like this, just let us know, and I can get it sorted out for the week after. Obviously, the more noise, the better. So if anybody's got any queries about, there's quite a few allotments now that should be self-governed because council cutbacks, and we had a bit of a dispute or a talking point Saturday down our trading sheds with people on another allotment site. Anyway, anything like that. Right, we're going to start off. As you can see on the front, Colligate Gardening Club, this is our show schedule for September 2020. This was the last show we had. Obviously, last year was crap for everything, so we knew we weren't going to have a show, so we didn't bother with a schedule or nothing. As you see then, we've been doing 39 here. Right, I'm just covering a couple of things tonight, and then we'll go into some more each week or whatever. This is me back of the garden. These are me blanch leeks, i.e. the long ones. And then another raised bed, I've got me intermediate blanch leeks. These are smaller but wider and thicker. We've got two classes for leeks in our show. So again, these are ready for the show. This is the day before the show, so the show's Saturday. I'm getting these up Friday. It usually takes me all day getting the produce up. So the long blanchings are on the front. Obviously these have got to get cleaned up, and the intermediates at the back. Luckily, the drive slopes that road, so while I've got the hose pipe on, I'm inside the garage. Obviously the garage is open. I've got my hose pipe and I'm getting all the dirt out of there. As any judge, if he's judging any veg, it's got to be nice and clean. Steve, you've raised your hand. What do you want to know, mate?
A variety of them, mate.
These are Pendle improved.
Thank you.
Right, you've got to get all the bits of soil out of here, and the best way to do it is get a jet of water, and it does wash all the crap out. But impress the judge, that's what you're trying to do. Well, that's what you got to do. What a judge is looking for basically is CUS. If you remember, C-U-S-S, CUS. So the first one is C, and that is condition. The condition of anything that's exhibited. That's the first thing I'm looking for. i.e. I'm not going rotten. And the next one is uniformity. So if I need 3, I've got to pick 3 out of them. I might throw him out because he's going bulbous at the bottom. It's not parallel straight the way down as them 3 are. But if I want 3, I'll get 4 up if I got them. Pick the best out of them. So uniformity is the next one. Then you've got S, which is size. And the other one is shape. But just remember CUS, that's what judges are looking for. So them have been cleaned off. Any duff skins they've come off, split skins, and then I've put a bit of damp cloth around them. This is an old white sheet we used to have in the fire service. I knew they'd come in for summer, so I'll just wring them out, and it's nice and moist. And that keeps. They'll get these in the garage overnight, which is nice and dark, nice and cool, and that helps to keep the leeks nice and fresh. All my trays, I need these for show day. These are for different things. And also these curtain rings. There's little ones. I was looking at a market, so these are for holding onions up. Raffia for tying onions. I'll need that as well. So I'll get all this dollop out. Right, this is from our schedule. We've got two that I like to go in. Well, I grow loads of things, but there's always something that lets you down, but there's always something else that picks you up. But one of my favourites is Colin's collection. Invented this one when Colin passed away. This is in memory of him, like, because he liked his onions, liked to see them. It's 2 large onions, 2 onions not exceeding 8.8 ounce, and then 3 large shallots and 3 pickling shallots. Also, while I'm on that one, another one I like to enter is Colligate Master Gardener, and it's usually Jason Smith because he's a dahlia man. He usually wins with his dahlias, but I win with veg, and that's 2 types of veg. 1 vase of 3 flowers, which I put my gladdies in, and then 1 specimen bloom, obviously, which is a gladdie again, and then 1 dish of fruit, but we fight each other over that. That's a good one. So basically we're just covering now Colin's collection. So large onions, this is just to show you all them large onions. That one is a flatten, where that one is round, and he's got shoulders on him. So as for pairing them up, they're all different shapes, so them are no good. And that's also to show you these rings that I put underneath. Don't forget, bullshit baffles brains. It has done for years, and it will do for years. It did in the forces and the fire service. Meaning, if I just put them on the table like that, because they're not flat bottom, they don't stand up straight. That one or that one. But if you put a little ring round them, you can then put them upright. It's just, you're just impressing the judge. First impressions count for the judge. It's the same as if you're walking down the street with the missus. You see a bit of stuff coming towards you. You think, oh, Benito, it looks alright. Then he gets close and smiles and has got a tooth missing. You think, bloody Nora. But then your brain tells, well, if it shuts her mouth, it's still alright. But his first impressions, exactly the same as the judge. If he sees them, you've made the effort to stand them upright and look after them. Right, that skin is dried off all the way around. There's no split skins. It's a nice colour all the way around. That's what you're after. That's what a judge is looking for. Right, tie them with raffia, because raffia is near enough the same colour as the skin. So if you go back on that one, that is the best side of my onion. There might be a very slight blemish at the back. So that's what I want the judge to look at. So that's how I put him. So, meaning when I tie him with raffia, I'm going to put the knot at the back, so the judge doesn't see the knot. Just a bit more bullshit again. And then I'll cut it off with the scissors once I've jobbed that. Then once I've done the 3 onions, I'll then look at them side on, and I'm going to cut these all the same level. So if that one's a bit higher, he'll go lower than this one. As you can see there, if they look level, because the judge, if he's looking at a set of onions, he will look bird's eye view on top of them, looking down on them to make sure they're the same size that way, and also a side view what he's doing here. These are the small onions, 8.8 ounce. We'll come back on to these later on. These are tough ball I'm using this year, but these were obviously 2 years ago. Nice skins. Nicely dried off, no splits or nothing. If you do say that one there, that's a thin neck, so I can tie him up easily. This one is thick, meaning I'm not going to get that neck as thin as that one. But you can, because you cheat. Well, you're not cheating, you're just helping the onion out. All you do is put that neck in a mug of hot water, and that gets that nice and supple, meaning when you do tie it there, if I'd have put him in hot water, if I'd have pulled that tight, it might have split the skin, because the skin's dry. Because it's now nice and supple, tying that up, it will not split the skin, because it's nice and moist. And that's what I've done there. So there's a thinner and there's a thicken. Two good shaped onions there, near enough the same size. Large shallots, complete skin again, and you got to clean the bottoms off. This is the same with onions and shallots. The judge will pick every one up. So working with a knife going inwards, obviously not too close to that, you're taking these old skins off. And you can, if you got a nail or thumbnail, you can do it with your thumbnail as well. And that's what the judge is looking for, and that's what you should be looking for. If you got time, you can do this a couple of days before the show. This is on onions and shallots, but nice and clean. The judge can see straight away that there's no damage in there. It's not rotten. It's nice and solid. You'll press that in anyway to try it, or should do. And once again, sit them up nice and straight. So smaller rings again. If I could get a smaller ring than these, find them, meaning the judge, he'll still see the rings, but not as much as these two here. And put your best side at the front again before you tie with your raffia. So we've tied 2 on them, 3 on them. Now I'm going to cut the chops off. But if you look at him, he's slightly bigger than that one. So when I do show him, he will probably go in the middle. But you can do that on the day or the night, whatever, before. So the small pickling onions there, those are the exhibition shallots, sorry, not onions. Those are the pickling onions. So I've done them 3 as well. Them are a bit fiddly, but everybody's in the same boat. And also, so that's me 2 onions ready, large, 2 8-ounce onions, 8x8 ounce, 3 large shallots and 3 picklers. Also, if you're showing something and they don't stand up even, help them out again by put them in a tray of vermiculite, because then if he's higher than them 2, you can lift him up or push them 2 down a bit, and you can put them up straight with a vermiculite. The vermiculite is the same as having a ring underneath, it's just helping them out. This is poured down the shed. This is a couple of years ago. This is on a Saturday. Training sheds, we got a lull, so he was putting them in for the same class as well as I was sorting mine out. Nice sunny day, luckily. Good year for grapes this year, both of them. Obviously this is for my tray of fruit, and my wines, which I and my pickles down here, sort them out as well. Usually my wines, I get them out a week before. Some of them will go AY, i.e. they go slightly cloudy or have a bit of sediment on the bottom. So I'm going to, these are from Wilco and places like that, my labels. So what I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try it. Just in case they am naff, I'm going to put in a little crap. And if it is good, then I'll just top up with a drop of water. But if there is a bit of sediment in, I will pour it out slowly, no bubbles, so that it doesn't disturb the sediment. And then so I've got that nice and clean, and then I've topped that up with water as well. Hung the labels on, and that's ready to go. Right, with broad beans, runner beans or dwarf beans, anything like this, judges like to see them nice and straight. All the same length, all with a little pointed head on him, or tail, whichever one you look at it, and you keep the same length of stalk on each one as well. But this is a damp tea towel. As you can see, I've got my plastic ruler, and you can manipulate these to get them straight. Like you could persuade him with 2 hands, straighten him up, and then turn that ruler over so he's pointing in the middle of there. So he's got damp cloth either side of him, and that keeps him straight because you've just turned it. Keeps him in that same shape, and then you put your next one on and turn that as well, straighten him, and put it in the fridge overnight. Just helps to straighten him out. I need as much fruit as I get, so obviously my best fruit's going to be for the collection, and then I'll put in the fruit selection itself. Plums, damsons, any that got marks on them, I'll eat them. So I've got quite a bit of fruit to come from. And also, you know, when you put fruit out for exhibition, you're not supposed to put leaves underneath, or judges don't like to see leaves, but it looks better as a badges. I always put leaves under mine. I think it enhances the exhibit. That's just my opinion. Right, small cabbages. I used to put the big Savoys in and the pickling red cabbage, because everything that goes in the show stays in for the auction on the night. And my cabbage, my red cabbage and my Savoys was that heavy. Nobody could pick them up, take them home. So now it's the small cabbage like these. So these are up the day before as well, plus with a good dollop of root on them. Because when I get them back home, these are my vases, what I use for my Gladys. I put a drop of water in there and I bung him in overnight, meaning it's keeping him nice and fresh. So the next morning when I take them down to the show, they're still nice and fresh. They don't go limp. Obviously, if you've got time in the morning to get them up, then just get them fresh. Right, this next lot, I'm collecting nettles. I've got my tray down there. I've got a bit of a tissue underneath, and I've put nettles on top of them because I am collecting peas. If you're taking peas off, do not touch the pea itself because you'll put your thumbprint on the bloom. It's exactly the same as plums, damsons, red cabbages. If you mark them, meaning you've touched the bloom, that print will stay on there. So just hold them by the stem. And say if it's a 1/2 inch top stem on it, do the same with all of them. Then you place that on your tray of nettles, and that does not mark these peas at all. That's somebody found out years ago. Nettles don't mark them. Apples ready to go down, or either line them with old material again, so they don't forget I'm going down in the van over potholes and all this crap. So I'm just I don't want to get him bruised, so I'm just legging them down. As mentioned earlier on, again, bullshit backwards brains. Impress the judge, put him a little bloody hat on, nice lid. He thinks, oh, that's nice. Oh. Use what I do, loads of jam, everything out. So the shed before the garage before the show itself is chocker. Plus, I've loaded the van up already with a load of stuff as well, and it's usually 6 trips. It takes me to take the stuff down to the show. Good job it's only local. Next week we'll be covering at the show itself. So this is taking the stuff in, getting the show organised and whatever. Right, pot leeks. I've got 2 sets of 3s. What I'm doing here is potting these on ready. I want 2 normal pot leeks and 2 super pot leeks. So the next pot size up, which as you can see is that one there. Normal multi-purpose compost with vermiculite. Come on to that one later on. Compost that is. So I see how high I want him. So if I wanted him to lift it up a bit more, I'll put some more compost in the bottom of that pot. Once I've got him nice and level, so them 2 are level, then obviously I'm going to pack the compost around the back of there. Because once I pull that middle one out, I don't want this compost collapsing. Like I've pulled him out there, and this lot is still in one complete go. If you don't compact it in, that will collapse, especially if the compost is dry. So upending me pot leeks, nice white roots, that's what I want to see. It's about filling the pot. If that was going round anymore, then I'd open them roots up a bit just to help the chap out. But they look alright. I'll then look bird's eye view on him, make sure he is in central, i.e. upright. That's looking that way and that way. And then I firm him in upright again. Right, gladioli corms coming through my compost. If you remember last year in my tunnel back of the garden, when I took my leeks up, I planted my spare gladioli, and these are the babies of the gladiolis out there, because I used that compost up again. Outside, nice windless day, so I'm getting a good water in. So that's my blanch and my pot. So the end of greenhouse is still filling up. And this was this Sunday last week when we had snow. We had bloody everything, didn't we? A mixture of all sorts. Luckily we've had a nice week, except for the nights, which we're still getting the frost. Right, my brassicas, them are doing well. If I remember, they come from drinking cups into these next pot size up, Wilco Flogsam and Poundland, Poundwood, whatever. Right, this was last Sunday down Lidl. I needed 3 plants for our doorstep. I need to renew them. I don't know what the name is. Somebody will tell me. But I had these last year at the bottom of our lawn, if you remember. And then the hound, that was a bit poisonous for the dog, so I had to go and take them up. Put some lawn down again. So there's the pots I'm using, which go on the step. So I take the pot out, obviously him out of the pot, bung him in, put the compost around it, take that one out, and then bung that plant in. And I put a bit of mica under his feet and all, just to give him a lift. Pack him in with more compost, and these are doing well now. These are in the cold end of the greenhouse. Bit more blossom now on the fruit down the plot. Still can't get a photo of me blue-tit going into the chap. I mean, they are in there. We're just going them. That's the closest I've got. There's the chap on the post down the bottom. And there's my bottom one, Tunnel View Hotel. There's a couple in there and all. But I ain't got time to bloody hang around for them. Right, my next dollop of onion sets are going out. My red onion sets. Lines have been ready. Come straight out in one. These were watered 2 days ago, so the compost doesn't collapse. And then bung them in. These cups have done well, but they only last one season, i.e. 1 year. I've started going a bit rotten on the bottom, but they're ideal. There's 2 rows in, just one more row at the other end. Then next thing I've got to do once they are in is top dress with straw. As I mentioned before, we're still getting frost. We're supposed to be still getting them for a while yet, which is going to knacker a few gardeners up. Next thing I'm going to do, because they haven't forecast no rain, is water them in. These were 3 that were left over. One's got 3 lines. Obviously he's no good because they come to nothing, and these was a bit weak because they was behind everything else. So then again he binned as well. Rhubarb was in the next bay, next raised bed. He's doing well now, so I'll get him a good soaking as well. So that's that lot covered with straw, and this is pegged down now until I need to plant something else out in there. This is my wooden structure, top of the allotment. Just putting something else in there. This one is a greyhound cabbage. He's ready to go in, which I've done there. Strawed him as well and give him a good watering. My new raised bed, extra raised bed at the top of the garden. I noticed this was caking out, which normal ground does once it's drying out. So I thought I might as well do exactly the same as what I do with my raised beds. I'm going to break it up with a handful first, open it up. Then I'm going to cover it with me rabbit muck and my straw. Next thing I'm going to do is exactly the same with the raised beds. Give it a good soaking, and that will keep in the moisture and stop it from caking, and it works. Keith, am you ready, mate? This is Keith. Somebody asked a couple of weeks ago about remember for his coleus cuttings or his this one anyway, and it's quite a few.
Right. Can you hear me, mate?
Yes, mate.
Yep. Okay. Shall I start?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll start off with this one because every time I see it, I get jealous of it. It's this is one that won at Malvern a couple of years ago. This is the sort of thing that, from an exhibition side of thing, you're looking at, which is a good all-round shape, lots of tight leaf clusters, not many spaces. It really is a nice, good, colourful plant. I'm just about to start taking some cuttings from mine because I don't start too early and we're still getting frost, although I've got heated greenhouse. I don't start too early because you really do have to see what comes through the winter, because they need to be kept at about 55 degrees and slightly dry. So one thing I have tried over the years is taking a cutting later in the year, after, you know, taking cutting in sort of August, September, trying to grow it on as a small plant and seeing if that overwinters better. And I've had success and failures with both, you know, trying to keep a big plant cut down and you know, growing a small plant. So we'll see. Next one, Mick. Right, this picture on the left is a branch off a plant that I cut down a couple of years ago. Take off a nice shoot, and the one on the right, obviously trim it down, take off all the larger leaves, trim it down below a leaf node, and that is about 4 or 5 inches long. Not too hard, not too soft. It's a nice cutting. That's the sort of size that I use. Next one, Mick. Right, now this it's not genuinely a coleus. It's called a Plectranthus, but it's related to coleus, and it is more a trailing plant. And I use this for baskets. This one's called Easy Gold, and I've actually just taken some cuttings of it a week ago, and it's quite a good brancher. You pinch it out and it branches, and I put 3 plants in a sort of 14-inch basket, and if you keep pinching them out, they will go into a very bushy plant. But like everything, you need to keep pinching them back. Don't let them just grow on and on and on. You need to keep control of these things. Next one, Mick. Right, that's a shoot off that same plant that I took, and I will cut that below a leaf node, trim all the leaves off, just leave the top section on, and there it is. And that is ready to be put in. I don't use rooting powder. You can, but I don't. I find they root well enough, and you can actually, with coleus, just pop them in a jar of water. And I have done that mid-season where I've cut plants back, just clean up the stems, drop them in a jar of water, and within 10 days, 14 days, you've got a jar full of roots, and I just pot them on. That's the mixture I use, which is a sort of multi-purpose and vermiculite. It's a bit less vermiculite than 50-50, so sort of 60-40, just to open it up. As you all know, you don't want claggy, wet compost for them. So that's what I use, and that's it all mixed up, ready to go. That's in a pot. That's a 3.5-inch pot, just topped up, and I give that a water, and then insert the cuttings, and that will go on my heated bench, and just leave them to get on. I try to make sure that the leaves don't touch. The two at the front, the one on the left is actually lower than the one on the right, so I try to make sure that the leaves don't touch, so I don't cram the cuttings in, whether it be Plectranthus or coleus. Next one, Mick. And that's two bigger. Now the piece on the left is actually a stem I took off the plant in the little hanging basket, and when I took the top shoot out for that the cutting that you saw on its own, I was left with this piece. So I just cleaned the bottom up, and it's got a couple of breaks on it. I cleaned the bottom up below a node, popped it in, and that will happily root. That will happily root, and you know, within, say, 2-3 weeks, the roots will be showing around the bottom of the pot, and then they'll be ready for potting on. There we go. There's some that were just popped in a jar of water, and plenty of roots in that. I do that when I'm, as I say, when I just want a few extra bits and pieces for tubs or whatever. Now, that's a young plant that, when it's rooted, I pinch the top out. I don't want it to go up. So as soon as I have rooted, that is rooted, and I've potted it on into its individual pot, and it's settled in for a week, I will take the top out to force it to break, because what I want is, I do not want it to get leggy. So I will keep an eye on that, and as soon as it starts to grow, I will continually keep nipping out the tiny little shoots at the top to make it branch. Okay, Mick? Now, ones on the left, they're 2 litre pots, so they've grown on, and they're growing on ready, and they're not too bad. The one on the left, looking at it from this picture, and you've got a better picture on the right, I would give that a really heavy cut back. I would possibly take another 2 or 3 cuttings off that. So where you can see about a third of the way down, there's a bit of gap in it, a bit of daylight. So you can see some long stems. That's it, around there. I would possibly take that back to there and make it grow again. But the other one, the spreckledy one, that doesn't look too bad, so I will continue to take the tops out. But the problem is, not every variety is as short jointed as each other, so you do have to be careful, because there's a couple I'll show later that are beautiful colours, but they're sort of long jointed. I cannot, and I've tried for a number of years, cannot get them compact enough. They are beautiful colours, but don't make really good show plants. Okay, right, that's the speckledy one. That's called Spreckels, and that one I've just continually nipped back to try and make it bush. Now, I get them, when you're growing these for show, just check the pot size, as I'm sure Mick will say this without showing. Very disappointing when you're judging, and I do judging as well. You pick up a plant and you find somebody's put it in the wrong pot size, you know, it's too big, so you have to give it the old NAS. Somewhere like Malvern, they have 2 classes, one for coleus only, and that's any pot size. So I go up to a sort of 8-inch pot. And then in the novice section, there's a foliage plant class that I entered a few years ago, but there's restriction on the pot, maximum size 8-inch. So you do have, and I grow plants for my local show, because I have a foliage plant which is maximum pot size 6-inch. So you know, from sort of preparing for showing, make sure you check your schedule for the pot sizes and grow accordingly. So I grow 3 or 4 plants in different pot sizes to make sure I've got something to fit the bill, as they say. That one's called Pete's Wonder, and that is lovely. That's growing on quite nicely. It's got this serrated edge, and I really like that. And I had a really good one of those a couple of years ago, and excuse me, that grows really well. That's quite naturally short jointed. And also beware with coleus, what a judge does not want to see are those marvellous insignificant little blue flowers that pop out the top of them. Make sure you nip those out. First sign of a flower bud, get them out. You do not want to see a flower on a coleus on the show bench. Okay, that one's called Ruffles. That's another nice one. Again, it's when you're preparing these for the bench, and I know it's down to finer detail, look underneath the plant, make sure there's no dead leaves in there. And I've got a long pair of tweezers that I spend a bit of time pulling out the any dead leaves or debris or anything like that. And I always put a very thin layer of new compost on top of the pot to make it look nice and fresh. You know, a judge doesn't want to see compacted old compost that's a bit green or anything. I always put a very thin layer on just to freshen it up. Okay, Mick? Yeah, see, now that one is a lovely colour when it's in the sun. That's called China Rose, but it will not grow compact. When it gets bigger, it really does stretch out a bit. And if you look at the leaf, if you look at these sort of leaves at the front, just below where Mick's arrow is, there's a flower bud just there. So he should have been out a bit earlier. So, and they're
Leslie, can you mute yourself, mate?
Thank you. You do miss them. I've been round plants looking for it. I put one in a couple of years ago at a big show, and it was going really, really well, and the judge liked it, and he was talking to me after. He said, yeah, beautiful plant. He said it nearly got best in the flowers section. He said, except you left one manky leaf at the back. And I'm sure I checked it, but you've just got to really double check. And the little flowers, they do get in the way. But that is a lovely bright colour. And the thing when you're growing these is certain varieties are more susceptible to sunlight. So I give mine a reasonable amount of light when they're growing early, and when they're in the 3.5 inch, 4 inch pots, when the roots start coming out the bottom is when I start giving them a balanced feed, and that's what they get throughout the year. A nice balanced feed. That one is called China Rose, and that one there is one called Lord Falmouth, and that's a very small leaf but very, very compact, and that's the one that I use for growing. I use it for a pot plant, but also I have entered that into hanging basket competitions because it naturally will drape down the side, and that makes a really, really good one. But that, as you can see on the front, some of those petals you can see the fronts of are beginning to fade a little bit. So about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks before a show, I will go round and give mine a reasonable nip out, taking any sort of mature leaves that I think won't last the length, because about 6 weeks you'll get a really good show of fresh, young, vibrant colour. But I do take them out of the heavy sun and keep them in light shade. Okay, Matt.
Steve, can you ask at the end, mate?
Yes, mate.
Sorry. Right, that one was another one I tried to grow. It's a small leaf, lovely colour. But again, as you can see, the shoots at the top, I gave up on that one. It was a bit long jointed. And that's got a weird name, something like Pictorum or something, and it's a lovely colour, nice small leaf, but it is a little bit leggy, so it's hard work, that one. But again, Then you can get them with black leaves. I think that's Black Prince. Again, you can see top left, there's a flower bud there that needs to come out. Yeah, there are lots of very dark leaf ones, and that's called Pineapplette, serrated, very lemony yellow with some maroon blotches in. Again, grows very nice, but that's quite a short plant. That branches naturally, stays very stocky, and makes a really, really good, nice bushy plant, that one. Right, that's a view of my greenhouse. That's a trusty rusty in the middle. That's a similar variety to the first picture I showed you. And then, as you can see, hanging up at the top is Lord Falmouth that I'm growing down as a hanging basket, and then back left is that pictorum. But that's one shot. As you see, the greenhouse is pretty full, and I will do turn them a quarter of a turn every 2 days to make sure they're round, because a good judge will look at a plant and they won't view it just from the front. Although I will put it with the best view from the front, a good judge will pick it up, maybe put it on the floor, stand over it, and see if it's round, or you know, you can see any holes through or whatever. But yeah, the greenhouse does get a bit full at that time. That's you know, August, September. That is, I was playing around because I entered the class at Malvern where you get a sort of metre square box to put a display in, and I was doing that. Was on my patio table. I was playing around to see. I entered it, and that's what I was going to put in. I took all the plants there and staged it, and I thought it was nice, but I didn't win. Didn't get a place on that one. I got very well beaten by some superb exhibits, because it's a general class. It's anything in a metre square box. So the lady next to me who was staging had something like about 2,500 chilies and squashes and everything. She did a wonderful display. So it was pretty impressive. Right, that's just the other side of the greenhouse. There's Trusty Rusty, one in the middle, Pineapplette, then China Rose, Plectranthus, the dark green leaves at the front. So that say, it just shows you how crowded the greenhouse gets. Next one, that was Lord Falmouth. That's in a 8-inch pot. That was about 24 inches round, something like that. That got the second, and the next one, that got the first. So I'm not really jealous of that, but I keep showing it because it was an absolutely superb plant, and it's something I keep aiming to try and grow. But the one thing is, you grow something that big, you don't get many plants in the back of your car to ship take to a show. But they are great fun. They are, you know, you don't see that many of them at local shows, but they are easy to grow. Now, the ones that people grow from seed for bedding, you don't get those sort of plants. But if you go to somewhere like Dibley's, they've got about 40 name varieties. They're not that expensive, and they've got every sort of leaf colour, shape, size, whatever. These Trusty Rusty, I spoke to the chap who grew that, and he said he just went to sort of a big garden centre where they sell all these sort of basket plants and that in plugs and everything, and that's where he picked it up from. And that is 1 year's growth. They are that easy to grow. They grow very quickly, but you do have to keep nipping them back, pinching them out, turning them, watching that the sun doesn't fade the colour, and away they go. I will try and answer that question. And I think the answer is, because I was just looking about, it doesn't say where they're from. Sorry, I can't answer that question about where they originate from. But no, you can get some really big, wonderful specimens, and if you enjoy a bit of fun for a local show, you can walk in with something like that, and it does take a few other exhibitors' breaths away. When the allotted space on the bench, you take up the whole space for about 5 exhibits with one plant. So, but they are easy to grow, not a problem.
Excellent, Keith. Thank you.
Okay, mate, no problem.
Right, questions? If you bung your hand up, and I'll see it, and I'll get you in. Nigel.
Keith, are they susceptible to any pests and that as you've grown them through the season?
I've not had many pests on them. I keep a number of the old yellow sticky traps.
Right.
But I don't, spray them or anything like that. So I've not had any pest problems, no.
And regarding the pH level of the soil, is it like a neutral, or would they go acid or something like that?
Yeah, just a neutral would be fine. And I use Maxi Crop plant food, and I have given them a light foliar spray as well. But not the very pale-leaved ones. I don't foliar spray those, right, just in case it marks the leaves. But the darker ones, I'll give it early in its life. I'll give a foliar spray, but then. And the other thing I forgot to say, if you are exhibiting these, make sure, even if it's just a one-day show, you put them in a saucer and you keep them damp, because once they lose their water content, they'll drop, and if they start to drop, it will snap the stems.
One final question.
Very easily.
Final
so keep the moisture content up, keep them damp, not sodden wet, but just keep them damp throughout their whole growing. Once you've got them into 4, 5, 6, 8 inch, 10 inch pots, keep the compost moist, but not sodden, no. Keep the water content. They look nice and fresh then.
What's the last time you pinch out before a show? What's the distance from last pinch out to the show?
I do about 6 weeks, 5, 6 weeks.
Right. Okay.
But I have been known 2 weeks before to take one out if it's, got a bit of, I've damaged it or whatever, or it's faded, or I just nip it out, because you can hide it, and they do grow pretty quickly.
Right. Is there a minimum temperature these will take?
Sorry?
Minimum temperature.
You don't want to let them get below. Through the winter, you need to keep them at about 55. So reasonably warm.
Okay.
Mine are on a heated bench in the hot end of the warm end of the greenhouse.
Thank you.
They do need a bit of tender care.
Keith, I don't know if you covered this because I had to take a phone call, but where would you yourself get new varieties from if you don't grow from seed?
Right, Dibblies, Dibblies, the Streptocarpus people and all that.
Where were they?
They're in North Wales.
Oh, lovely.
Right.
Yeah, so Dibblies, Dibleys.
Yeah.
Dibblies. You don't see many nurseries. I have seen them in the catalogues, likes of sort of Parker's and Thompson and Morgan's. You'll get collections of coleus. There's a new series that's been out a couple of years, Salsa series, which has got serrated edges, small leaves, and I'm trying to get hold of some of those. They go well, and there is a gentleman who exhibits at Harrogate and has done for a few years. He runs a foliage plant nursery, and he grows a number of things, but he doesn't sell online or anything. He just exhibits there and sells there. But Dibblies are the people, so they've got 40 odd name varieties, and they change every year. They add 2 or 3 to it. So that's the main thing. They've got a good catalogue. If you go online and look, they've got pictures of everything, and you can see. And the number of those that I grow are originally from Dibblies.
Yeah, I've attempted once again this year to grow from seed, but they're so slow to germinate and grow. I mean, even now they're only sort of 15 centimeters wide, and I just can't get them.
Once they get going, they'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell any, Keith. Keith, do you sell any cuttings?
Sorry?
Do you sell any cuttings?
I don't. If I have any left over, I mean, I can. You after a couple?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll sort. I'll speak to Mick and get your email address.
That'll be great, Keith. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, mate. No problem.
Any more questions for Keith? No, you've covered everything, Keith, man.
Okay,
Brilliant.
mate.
Very interesting. Hey, thanks very much, mate.
Yeah, nothing that
No
is.
problem.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Keith.
Brilliant.
Pleasure.
Cheers, Keith, mate.
Cheers.
Right, I did another Zoom talk during the week. This one was to Western Rhine and District Gardening Club. Obviously, the talk was on raised beds and no dig cultivation. This one was 60 quid and not the normal 50 because they were really into Zooms. So I give them the option. I says, well, I'll organise a Zoom and then I'll invite you lot, meaning you've got less to do. Because I'm still making cock up myself, so somebody's just coming into it. But it did help them out a lot, and it was quite easy for them. In fact, all of them. And there was just under half of them, first time they'd ever done it, and the majority got away with it. So, but that's the first talk they've had this year as a gardening club. But I'm starting getting the talks in now for next year, luckily. So we'll see how that goes. Right, liquid fish. This is something new for the worm wheel when we do that, which I'm going to get on now. First of all, I'll give a talk about the liquid fish. This is what the druggies use. Look at the hydroponic shop, which the druggies do. They will buy the best equipment, the best feeds, and the best everything. And
what do they do with it, Mick?
Sorry?
What do they do with it?
It's a feed.
Do they drink it?
Make them grow and all.
It goes down, I'll tell you.
It's another manure. It's liquid fish, obviously. But it's fish hydrolysate. But it is superb stuff. It's nice and thick, meaning you only need 1 drop per litre. But it's got to be rainwater. Once again, if you put it in tap water, there's that much crap in tap water, it will kill the good little chaps in the liquid fish. So we'll ferret them. Right, let's see if I can get me. Yes, here we go. Can you all see that?
Come on, I'm feeling lucky again. I'm feeling lucky.
It's working. It's working tonight.
Hey.
I'm feeling lucky.
You've won 4 times already.
I know you're down.
Keith.
Keith.
Yes, he's got to. Well done, Keith, man.
My name's not on there, Mick.
No, nor is mine.
I have to put these on at back quarter 6 o'clock.
Come on.
No, I'm not on. No wonder I'll never win.
Oh, I won.
Big winner around there somewhere else.
Hey.
What time did you all come on? Booking
5 to 7.
About 5 to 7.
Yeah, 5 to 7.
I have to take these names off the wheel at well, about 6:15, 6 o'clock, 6:15. If you're not logged in, i.e. for the talk, but you're booked in for the talk itself. You've had the email.
That's what it is. I didn't register till late.
You've got to register. Otherwise, I'll be here at bloody. I could be here till 5 to 7, and say, well, I'll come on at 10 to 7.
Well.
And you're rolled up. So what I'm going to do now, people who do win, instead of sending stuff out, because I did it last week, and they says, well, I don't really want that, I've got enough of that. So what I'm going to do now, when we get a winner, I'll get in touch with them and ask them what they want. So it's either the fish hydrolysate, the charge, Epsom salts, or the mycorrhizal fungi. It'll be up to them. And there's 4 fishes I've wrapped up already, ready for the boys. And another new one, I found this out during the week. Obviously this is from Jennifer, remember that talk you get us from the Riemann Mock Dust. And these small bags with samples are sent to me, it's got to be 6-7 years ago. And I found this one out. And what I used to do, she sent me a load of leaflets as well. So when I go out and do my talks, i.e. I'll finish the talk, I flog my stuff, but every talk I do or go to, I take at least 5 garden related raffle prizes. That's if they have a raffle. There's quite a few clubs that don't have raffles because they hold them in a church and they don't allow to have a raffle prize. But I take garden related raffle prizes, and this was one of the bags I took. And I also dished out leaflets to everybody who was there, i.e. introducing them to the rock dust, because majority of people have never even heard of it. So they've got a leaflet, and then I've got this in the raffle, so they know what to get. So I put my brain into gear, and I've emailed during the week, and it's going to send me another $1 for these. So when I get them as well, so hopefully by next week, if you want a bag of that for your prize, you can have that as well. Loads of blossom about, which is good to see, which is what we want to see. Right, this is taking the hound for a walk. Even now there's still loads of leaves about, so if you still haven't made no leaf mould yet and you've got room to do it, do it. Right, my pot leeks, these are ready to go out. So the same size pot which the leeks are in. There's the raised bed back of the garden, which the blanch leeks are going. There's the blanch leeks and intermediates. So I've got 2 rows. I'm spacing the pots out where I want them, because these pots have got to go right in the middle of these which are hanging over, because them at the top, that structure is lowered down to take the weight of the leaves or the flags, so they've got to go right in the middle of them too. So once I've sussed out where they am, then I'll dig an hole out. If you see, don't forget this was covered, so I've taken the cover off. It looks dry as a bone, but once I've got down a couple of inches, it is nice and workable. And even down further getting it out, it is more damp. Get it nice and level, bung your pot in, and then firm it in around that pot again while it's in there, obviously. And then when you do pull it out, it is ready. So all them are done. These are nice and level, and it's level off the top as well. Gets covered back up again, meaning this should be done next week, because they're getting a bit big now in the greenhouse, and I need the room they need to go out. Don't forget the frost. I've got a bit of protection by this lot here. Don't forget, once they do go out, it will be mulched with straw. So there's my protection again. Front of the house, bit of colour there. That's even better now. If we go back on that one again, Alstrom area, that shows you how protected they am, because of the wall they've come through, and they're doing bloody haywire then. And there's the hound. Look at her, bloody Snoop Dogg. This was last Saturday. I had to bring the hound with him if you got a good eyesight. If you wait, I'll show it. Look at her little face. I had to take her with me down the shed. So I tied her up there and her enjoyed herself. And there's Jared with his new suit.
What doing on there?
I saw these advertised down Wilco. I had something similar for the kids up Caslon, but it weren't like that. All I did with them, we'll come on to that later on, but I saw this and I thought, now that's good for your mate Caroline, because I'm sorting stuff out for her. I don't want to do a good digging away in the raised bed for spuds, but I thought this would be ideal. So Monday morning I have to go down the bank anyway. That's just showed me last Sunday's Chinar's meal. Baltic mat, spinach and mushroom.
Wow.
This is what I used to cook on the night when I was in the fire service. The lads loved it. Busting. Filling the waiter. Waitering can up. Loves waiter. Sweet corn. That's for me, mate. There's my spinach on the left. And a runner bean. These need potting on as well. And these lot. They've got to be potted on. Right, compost corner. Normal chopping of everything, green waste and kitchen waste. Take the lid off. Take the first carpet off, as you can see there, because these carpets are nice and moist. I've got me extra worms, so I folded them up, put them in the lid. Activity working away. And if I get in nice and close, I've got me worms, as you can see, but also you can see springtails which are in there, the little white chaps. If you got them as well, they're goodies. Pour them in, give it a good soak in. Then the two carpets, I will drop those extra worms back on the top of that. Don't forget there's manure in with me mixture anyway, so there'll be worms in that as well. Before I put the lid on, make sure the two carpets are nice and moist. Getting closer with my blue tit, there it is. Still getting going in, but we're getting there. Right, top orchard. I've got a few weeds growing inside, so I've got to spray the chaps. So I'll give them a quick spray. If I'd got time, I'd hand weed myself, but as normal, I'm running around like a blue ass. Right, compost. Normal compost is my clover, as you know, mixed with vermiculite. If I'm potting on established plants now, meaning the last potting before they get thrown out, you can add extra ones. Add extra additives when you're doing your mix. That one is leaf mould, if you've got that. Worm cast, another good one to add. And that one's charge. And obviously the last one, if you got the room, mycorrhizal fungi. Bung some of that under his arrows. Right, these are ready to go out. As you can see, the roots are starting to go around the bottom, so they need to go out in the next pot size up. So I've got them out. Luckily, nice day again, no wind, meaning it ain't going to blow them over. And this is the next pot size up to him. Nice and deep, which is what I want for most of my plants, most of the things. This is greyhound. So I've got my stem there, and there's well, that leaf has nearly gone anyway. I've made my mould, so he's ready to go in. So that leaf will come off, and I'll probably take that one off as well. In fact, and that one, or lift them two up when I earth him up, and that's what I did at the end. So the plant is nice and upright, and you've buried them. So these will die off eventually anyway, those two. Giving me extra stem inside for more roots. I use these still on the big stuff, meaning that compost is dry because you've just put it in. But the smaller the water particle that goes on, that will stick to that compost easier. If I was using the large hand watering can, that'd run straight off or disturb the compost. So the smaller, that's why I like using these little sprinklers. And once that's soaked in, then I use the bigger one. Right, these little chaps are in the cold greenhouse. Once these flowers die off, then I'm going to cut them off, or if you've got a thumbnail, just pinch them out. And it's surprising how quickly they come back again. Don't forget, if you leave them on, that'll turn to seed eventually, exactly the same as most plants. To survive, they got to throw seed. If you take the seed head off, they got to throw more flowers. Because they've just thrown babbies there, which is a seed. So if you take them off, they got to throw more. That's why you deadhead most things. But most people ain't got the time, or it's too much hassle. Runners are doing these, and I've got spare other stuff, spinach, 2 more I've put out there in my cups. Bloody photos took me rubbish. Runners, I'm taking them out as well. Right, this up the side, blue and white bells are in here, and I'm just starting to open up now, but that little chap there, I couldn't remember him from last year. I remember the name on him.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Anybody know the name on him? It might be a
It's upside down.
I think it's a fritillary, Mac.
Yeah.
Is it
That
Crown
rings a bell.
Imperial?
Crown,
Is
crown lily or something.
Yeah.
Crown Imperial.
But I can't remember him from last
Crown
year.
Imperial, yeah.
Boston. Right, my runners I'm taking out for me, mate. Keith, these are yours. I'm looking at your plants you sent me, and now that tells me they want potted on. Because they got started off again, they got nice white roots. So I'm potting them all on. These, where am I? Sassiflora, that's the indoor one I'm going to keep indoors over winter. There's 2 honeysuckles.
Yeah,
Evergreen.
that's a red flowered passion flower.
Yeah.
It's got small red flowers on.
But them have been, and you see all the white roots have started up. So they're going to, next pot size up, new compost on the top, and ferreted, weighted, looked after. That's the middle bed, top of the garden. He's going to go out soon, so I'm giving it a good soaking. Put the cover back on, ready for that. Bit more bloom down the bottom.
Nice.
Right, next pot size up for me. Bloody done this one. I'm excited. Right, garden compost. I need some more of that, so I'll leg it down to the plot and get some more compost, bring it back up. Still got the odd worm in and bits of stuff breaking down, which is what I want. Because what we put on now is a blanch leeks. This is the last potted on. In fact, these are going out next week. Nice white roots. Place them in upright, firm them in upright, as we can see there. Because I want to put an extra length of cane in, because that is the clip that's on there is right on top of the cane, meaning these are hanging over too much. So I want to hold these up even longer. So I sort out the straighter canes out of all of them and replace it with a longer cane. So that one now goes right at the top, and he's holding him upright, meaning that centre has got to go up looking for daylight. And these help keep the plant nice and erect and upright. So there's the old cane that was in. You can see the length on in there, and the new one. So they'll probably, once they get moved into the greenhouse, they'll probably have 3 rings on, just to help them out. And that's what I want, identical. Don't forget out of these, I'm after me intermediate blanch and me long blanch. Normal watering again with a small sprinkler, and then I use the bigger watering greenhouse can. These are Welsh Seedlings, and these were took on the 15th of the 10th. So these seedlings, leek seedlings, was taken off the head 15th of the 10th. Obviously my mate from Wednesbury, he's looked after them, and I have the plants off him early on in the year. So if there's anybody local to me and they want any branch leeks or pot leeks last year, I've got me a supplier, but they're a good stock. Also what I'm doing, because I've got to get the length on these are the blanch, I'm turning the collars, I'm taking him off and turning him round the other way. As you can see there, I've got about 2 or 3 inches higher in length. So it is 3 inches, yeah. So they go from 10 inch, 13 inch. And then after that one, obviously I've got a probably 15 inch to 18 or something. If I'm up the garden I want to piddle, then I'll piddle him in jug. And then I'll bung it on the netting which is up the corner, because that's where the cats try and get in or go over, and he keeps them away. Right, my mate Mick, he got this from Lidl during the week. Bougainvillea. I was flogging these, I bloody missed them now.
Oh.
Beautiful colour. That's what made me get them in the first place. And he's got this outside now, obviously, he takes it indoors overnight. But I've still got these going, and they're just coming back in now. But Boston colour, beautiful. And something else I missed today, which I'll put on next week, was me black-eyed Susie. I got growing up me what's it up the garden anyway. While I was there, I asked for some cuttings. Anybody recognise him? I forgot who it was.
Is it time, Mick?
No.
It's rosemary.
Rosemary, that's it.
Yeah.
See, because they write it down, I said I'll take some cuttings. Because they took some, they know it took. I've had this gel for young, she's probably out of date, but I'm going to use a goo. Bung them in for her. Right, let's check me tub. And it does work, because it's still nice and moist in here. And that'll have been 6 days. Right, the hound. What did the hound have to do? Right, Rosie was spayed last week. And I had 2 dew claws removed. Plus I had her nails cut. So I had to buy a baby grow and put that on her. Stop her scratching the muscles. But it worked. Bloody loves it. Walks around like Canute. Right, middle bed. This is where me 8-ounce onions are going. Got to remember earlier on, I mentioned Colin's collection. There's a large onions and 2 8-ounce onions. This is where they go in. It is still nice and moist. These cups I've used again, as you can see. Right, the wires, which you can make him out there, he's got one small wire on. That's what he started on when he was a seedling, when he was potted on originally. And there's the larger wire at the top. So there's 2 wires still on him, holding him upright. Now because he's going out, he's going to have the smallest split cane and these rings. And that's what they look like before you put them on. Just put them around, clip around. So then we're going round there as well. So I'm still leaving these on because they're helping the plant. Obviously he's firmed in. Don't forget these are for exhibition. If I'm just for eating, just bung them out. But the more you look after a plant, he will give you a better return. That's why I do it. So he's firmed in nice and upright, and then the extra support is put in. That's that lot done. Next thing I'm going to do, straw it, because we're still getting frosts. Although it's got a lid on, the back and front is open. Give it a good soaking, and that stops the wind blowing away the straw as well. The cover, once dry, goes in the shed. It is marked up. Right, these things I got from down Wilco. These are larger than the ones advertised, but I thought I'm going to get them anyway, just in case. And I just see, well, clever possum call. Grows up to 3 taters. the pot size just above that one, that's what the kids used to use up at school. We'll come on to that in a bit. But that's the tater that's going on. This was started earlier on in a cold greenhouse, give him a head start. So he's going in there. So a bit of compost in the bottom. Plus, obviously there's only one tater there, so I'll put another 2 taters, which I've got spares here, as you can see. Put them in there, so there's 3 spuds in. Earth them up. That's just a photo of through next door's garden, just showing his summer raspberries, how will them grow in there, because they've got a bit of protection, sun most of the day. I've got big holes in these pots. This is another pot. I'm doing another tater because that one there, I think this pot, because I want this for Caroline, we made to I'm looking after veg wise, I think this will be too heavy for her, because I thought about it later on, because the medication is on as well. I thought just in case. So I've got a good sized pot here. That's the spud the pot's in now. So I'll make my mould. There's my little taters already. Now that'll be better. This is what when I take the kids go on and come up to school, each kid had a pot this side. They planted their own tater. They put their name in it, meaning if you didn't look after it, it's your fault. You killed it. And it's surprising how they looked after it every time they come, whatever. Even they had permission dinner times during the break. Instead of playing out in the field, they come and do watering, look after their stuff. But basically, once this starts growing and it gets root bound, you can upend that, even if it's dry and it doesn't collapse because of all the roots. And we used to do it on a Tuesday after the lesson. After the gardening club, we'd upend all the spuds and they would take off the spuds that was ready to eat, and then they'd put it back in again, give it a good watering. Don't forget, he has got to survive. He's got to throw young, meaning you just dead-headed that plant because you just took babbies off him. So if you take them off, he's got to throw more. If you need more compost, just push it in firmly. That's what we used to do with the kids. So I've done this as well for Caroline, just in case that other tater is too heavy and I can't pick it up. But that is the same principle. With the other one, you lift the frame out, but you can see them straight away. The large frame keeps it together. So I think that will be too heavy for her, to tell you the truth. It's bloody heavy for me now. But it does work. Well, it worked with the kids up at school. Work with the old and all. Right, start feeding all my little chaps up the garden and on the plot. Right, my greenhouse is here, top garden. This is my tunnel. I've just dug down a bit there just to show you. That's where my seed bowls is. It goes on. It's underneath about 3 inches. But that's where I'm putting my pots as well. Exactly the same what I did in the other bed. Don't forget these are exhibition pot leeks. So I've done that side, then we're buried in. Now I'll job the other side. All ready, covered back up again. Gladies are coming through. These are my cormlets I took last year. Cold in the end of the greenhouse. These are taken out now because they're giving too much of a spurt on. And I noticed Nigel Co, the gladioli, our gladioli mate, he put a piece on British Gladiator Society. He's put his outside, and it does cover if there's a frost. So these have gone outside in my spare raised bed up here, top of the garden, because that was getting too much there. Right, time to put a few corms out. Last week was my first weekly one for our show. This is getting ready for our show. And looking through the side, there weren't many, but there's quite a few that was telling me, plant me out. So they were the first ones that I did plant out. So I took them down, and the day before I went down, we've got our supplier of Spentops back again from Batham's Brewery. So that's a good sign for us. Batham's have started brewing again. But more importantly, we're getting the spent tops dropped off free. Good man. So my first raised bed, top of the plot. This is where I'm going to start. So I've got all my gladdies out there. Got my fork, my vermiculite. The dollop of vermiculite goes underneath. Take the cover off, put my lines out. 3 lines per bed. Like I mentioned before, if you remember that talk with Nigel, he uses the old spud peeler just to dig in. So you've got all you want is the shoot nearest to the centre. If you get any extras, take them out before they go in, but you got to go deep. That's why he likes using this old tear peeler. There you can see I've dug him out. If you ain't got a tear peeler, just use a knife or something. But skinning these down, I was doing it down the plot. I thought, sorry, I'll come back home. So I sat down with the cuppa, and I got the hand with me and all. So I just skinned them all while I was up here, and took them back down after dinner. On the bottom as well, there's roots started coming out already. You can see the rest just about to come out. So besides the shoot on the top, you know, the plants underneath are telling you, plant me out as well. So all these have got shoots on them. So I'll space them out. And put them obviously one side of the line and then dug out. So this cover's come off. First time the cover's been off for 2-3 months. And you can see there's still worms there and moisture. And that's what I want to see. So I dig my hole out. Fistful of vermiculite, and then I sit the gladiole on top. Some people don't use nothing, some people use sand or something, just stopping the gladi, or help stopping him to rot off. So my 3 lines are gone out. And just digging the hole, vibration brings worms to the surface, don't forget. And that's what they come up for. So it just shows that bed is still full of activity, which is what I want. Also, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there he is. That is an old pipe, clay pipe. Queen Victoria used to smoke a clay pipe. Never seen no photos of her, but there's loads of clay pipes I'm still digging up now, out the plot. So them are all planted in on top of the vermiculite, ready for the topsoil to go back, which I have. So my lines come up to here. So as I take out one end of the line, I push that cane in, so I know where I got to when I put my next lot in up here. So this lot is taped down as well, so that doesn't blow around. Top's filled in. Next thing I'm going to do, straw it. So I've got both canes in either end, sets in either end. So I know where my lines are. I then cover it with straw, so that's stable manure, and that is rabbit muck. So the different straws don't matter. There's little additives in each one, bits of muck, so there's an extra feed as well. Give it a good soaking, stop the wind blowing it if there's any wind, but that will also keep the frosts away. Look after anything that you have planted, because I reckon in another week, 10 days, they will start coming through. Right, next thing to go out. 6 pot leeks into this raised bed top of the garden. If you remember, I want 2 pot leeks, so out of them 3 there, I only need to show 2. But them will be up to 6 inches in length, so them are short ones. And then we got a class for super pot leeks, that's 6 inches and over. So that's for them, well, between 6 and 8, because they're a bit taller, so them are going as well. Nigel, question, mate.
Mick, when you mentioned about the leeks earlier regarding the roots and clearing and that, you never mentioned anything about the leaves. How important is that with the showing, like damage and blemishes and stuff like
that? The judge will look for any damage. If you haven't got any damage, you take it off. But if you split a leaf itself, but you've still got nice and white on the foot, the white of the leaf itself, Don't forget, you take one flag off a leaf. That is a skin. Meaning, if you've got 3 the same and you take one skin off, he's going to be smaller than the other 2.
Right. Yeah.
You've got to weigh everything up. You want to leave him on.
Yeah.
Don't forget, but condition is the first thing you're looking for anyway, as a judge. So if it is a damaged leaf, then yes, I would say take it off.
Okay.
Because then you've won with condition. But you're out on size slightly, but size is the last one.
Right. Okay. Cheers, mate.
What was the last
Right, these are getting ready to go out. So Roland, got your hand up, mate?
Yeah, the problem I've had with the Blanche leeks when I go to show them is they shrink and split from the top to the bottom. The flags do. I don't know why, but it's like, how can I say? I would have said they're either dried out or got too much water, and they just split. And
well, I'm still in the bed.
Yeah, straight out of the bed, clean them all up, and straight into the show, and they split from one end to the other.
Was the place too warm overnight?
No, because normally with the leeks, because our show you bench at 12 o'clock in the morning, so I go down there and pull them out first thing in the morning. So but I've had it several times, and of course you keep taking the split out when it gone from the button down. You take it out, and like you say, they get thinner and thinner every time, don't they?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've even mentioned it to Marcus, and he can't see what I'm doing wrong. But I don't know. Maybe I need to soak them more. Maybe I don't know. Am I?
Before you take them up, are you watering normal?
Probably not. Probably not.
Just because you've got a show coming up, you say, well, I don't want to water anymore or feed anymore, just in case they do split on me.
Yeah.
Just carry on normal.
Yeah, that's what I will
basically do. All I'm thinking of, you're giving them a check in growth. If you're not watering or feeding, they think, bloody hell, I've got a chance of dying here.
Yeah, but it's a shame, really.
That's the only thing I can think of.
But in actual fact, it probably could be, because one year I put them in a wicking system and never had no problem. So it could be that where I water as opposed to doing it automatically, that they do dry out before I've lifted them almost,
Yeah. If you're doing something, then carry on. It's growing well.
Yeah.
It is, obviously. Then just do it all the way through until you lift them.
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, mate.
Cheers. Right, tunnel back up the garden. I've took the cover back off again. I've now scraped away where my pots are. I put the labels in so I knew where they were. Give me a clue. If I've got to lift that one up slightly to get level with that one, then I will do it and firm the compost underneath. There was a time with the big stuff, planting these out, that's when I put the mycorrhizal fungi in them. Because now they can grow to whatever size they want. They have got the room. Because if you go back on that one there, people think, well, and them a bit wide apart. You're only going to put one leek in there, one in there. So the length of that bed, all I've got in is 3 leeks. But it's surprising how big these grow. And the leaves spread, go thicker, wider. Well, you'll see it as we go anyway. You need to give them space, so them having a good dollop of mycorrhizal fungi on them. And that is perfect for going out. Nice, white, thick roots. That's what I want to see. Just before they've started going around the pot itself, get them out. Perfect. Always tell a good sized pot leek, or a good strain I should say. Nice wide flags or leaves. When I won at the National Village show with me leek, I had exactly the same with these. I won because my leaves was nice and thick and nice and wide, and because I used to foliar feed, I give them the weight, and that's what I won with it. So that's a good sign straight away. Obviously these are coming outside, and then leave a flag in the hole. Make sure you put them out straight. I'm gonna have to book the light on, of course, here.
I'm going to say he's blanked out here. I thought he permanently got off the screen.
Of course, you're a bloody ferret. Right, I've put the 3 out. Now, if I'd have put in that road, I'd have them flags smacking into the side of that and then smacking over the side of here. So I've put them at skew-if, all the same road with the same way, basically. These pots now, which I've taken out the hole, I will upend and then level off, earthing them up, if that makes sense, what I've done there. So I've emptied them pots and I've spread that around, so the compost goes straight up under the first leaf. Exactly the same if I was planting anything else out, like a brassica or anything like that, up to the first leaf. That's a lot done. Next thing I'm going to do, straw it. Good dollop of straw in. Now this is the other side of that tunnel. Now if you remember last year, once I took the leeks up there, I put all my spare gladioli in. And my corms I took up, these are the babbies what fell off. I've started rooting, my cormlets. So I've taken them out everywhere. Obviously that one looks a bit low, so I've got to lift him up. So they're nice and level again, on par with these 3 opposite. So I've got a gap down the bottom for 3 large onions later on, or show onions I should say. Right, all out, all strawed and all watered. And because I've just planted them, I've got to water around the pot leeks themselves, obviously, just to get them. Then looking for the roots, looking for water. Don't forget that water's going to go straight through. The top will start drying out before anything else, and you want them roots to start looking for water. The front door goes on, still netted, don't forget. So the ventilation I've got in there is quite good, in the sense that looking from the lawn, I've bent down a bit so you can see the ventilation around there. Now, with the ventilation, don't forget my doors open as well, that's netted, and all this around the bottom, which is quite a good gap for a tunnel. That still gets hot in the summer, and that's why I've got that fan on. I've got a solar power fan on there, and even with that on, it still gets too hot. Even, don't forget, you can have it all open, but if there's no wind, then there's no ventilation, is there? So that little bit of with a fan going round, that makes all the difference. I think that was 60 quid when I had it, but them have come down in price now. The old fans, solar powered, and even a little one in the greenhouse. Right, that's getting up in the morning. As you can see, we're still getting the frost. That's cleared there, but you can see where the shadow is, I've still got the frost there. And it's just coming onto me, well, it ain't quite onto me leeks yet. So before the sun does go on them, then I'll water over them, take any frost off.
Get the one that's sliced and get them.
Mute.
If I can get them all in, so I can get rid of this one as well. There's certain instructions in it.
Can't come up, it was dropping off. Somebody's talking, I can hear you. Can you mute yourself, please? Thank you so much. If you don't know water somewhat or it's too much hassle, what I've done now, I'll just put once the sun goes off it, I'll just put 2 bits of paper over them, newspaper. Don't forget, if you get a frost, there's no wind. Because if you got wind, you wouldn't get a frost, they blow the bloody frost away. So it's not going to blow my paper away. And that I put it on last night. The night before I watered, just to show you for the photo. But what I'm doing now is just putting a bit of paper on, just for extra protection. And there's my hound, my guard dog. And there's 2 extras. There's rock dust going on and spent coffee grounds. Because that's the first time this raised bed has had it as well. Right, I had this in the post yesterday. Gladiolos annual.
Wow.
I'm a national, the British Gladiator Society plus our gardening club is affiliated, meaning we can use their medals and we get the annual as well.
Very good.
This was good in the sense, if you remember last year, because there was no shows, I don't know how many of you was following me then, but on Facebook, on the British Gladiator Society, they was doing a show online. I was entering that way, which was good because meaning I hadn't wasted my gladies. I mean, I wasted them because there was no show that I could show in. But ones I did show, I got a second there with my novice. That was Dean's List. That's the name of the one I put in. I've got another there with the 3 spikes, meaning 3 flowers, purple prints. Anybody remember them? The flowers I put in was following with them.
No.
But I was chuffed with them and all. I'll find the photos out of them for next week. So I've been mentioned in dispatches, and even better than being on page 3, I was on the back page. Big multitude of his local care home during the pandemic. Good old Nigel, he's a good lad.
That's a
Put that
woman.
in for us. Thank you, Nigel. This was a couple of days ago. My little chap, Keith, I forgot his name again. I know you. Thank you, sir. I've put him in the kitchen now. He's replaced somewhat, and these chaps obviously have come out. He'll be going on the doorstep, ready for next week because they've got a bit of protection for frost. These lot out, I've bought them out the greenhouse now, and I've put them in my top raised bed. This is my last raised bed but one. So these are outside, although they've got protection here. And the bougainvillea, which will job in a bit. This is my strawberry basket. He's doing alright. He's got protection from the frost that we have had from the walls there. So I'll just give him a drop away. That was meant to had no rain for a bit. And onions, still check your onions if you've got them storing in the garage, just in case any started going soft and started spurting. And these are the 8-ounce onions from last year. If you grow from sets, you've got to eat them first, they don't last so long. That's why I like doing the 8-ounce. I grow more onions than anything, because we eat and use more onions than anything. Right, nice day again, so he come out of the kitchen and we get him a nice water with bougainvillea. Call that red flower. Right, I had a delivery during the week. There's quite a bit of stuff they ain't got. Luckily for me, the last delivery I had 6 grow more off him, because there's a few people come every year and they have a full bag of grow more off me, because we flog it loose in 3 kilo bags. There's a few people have a full bag, so I ordered 6 grow more and 6 spud fertiliser. I know there's one bloke has a full bag of spud fertiliser off us. So I had 6 of each, and then, in fact, he hadn't got much left at all. The nursery I use, Herons, or Perry Bar, and he's run out of everything. He ain't got no grow more whatsoever or spud fertiliser, and all the garden and allotment sites are, they're plain Nettles. In fact, compost is in short supply as well. But luckily, anything, I did it with singletons when I used to use them, before I fell out with them. If there's anything going out of stock, let me know, and I'll just buy them out. That's how I looked after my place. But compost is in short supply. He has got no compost whatsoever. The small bags, even the rubbish compost, don't forget he's got a nursery, even the rubbish compost, he's flogging that now, because that's all I've got. His grow bags, that's what I'm buying now, because he's got no multi-purpose compost, and that's all we've got in our trading sheds now, grow bags. But because they are Leamington multi-purpose compost, they're these grow bags. Whoever's speaking, can you mute yourself, Tar?
Come on, David.
But people who are short of compost. Don't forget, you can still make it if you make your own garden compost. Just get some of that up, even if you're still brewing. Mix it with leaf mold or anything you get hold of. If you get hold of worm cast, spent mushroom compost, anything like this, just mix it with topsoil, vermiculite. Most things don't grow in anything. Because I'm on order for a pallet of clover, because he's getting one more lot in. When I say one more lot, this is about 20 pallets he's got in, and that is the last lot he's having. Now this has been coming for the last 3 months, but he knows it's en route. So when that gets here, obviously I've got a pallet of clover, but after that he says it could well be 6 months before we get back to normal compost wise, or even fertiliser wise, because there's that many people now, new gardeners, getting into gardening because of the lockdown. They're running out of everything. In fact, there's a bloke down the plot, he's been after a shed for booze. You can't get a shed anywhere. Everybody's buying all the bloody sheds. Everything's gooey, garden wise.
Me?
Yes.
Somebody's told me Humax they've stopped manufacturing Humax.
Because the stuff was rubbish.
Yeah.
Because they've stopped the. No, it wasn't rubbish, but they can't get the peat. That's been stopped supplying the peat, so they stopped making it, I think.
Oh, don't forget, years ago I used to have Humax. That was one of the best composts about.
Yeah.
And then the government says anybody making a compost, to stop you using peat, you can put extra ingredients with it, natural ingredients. And there was that much crap in Humax. When I say crap, I mean bloody branches, twigs and shit. There was that much crap in, I stopped having them. And quite a few more did, and that's what I went on to airing. But quite a few people doing that, suppliers, and it's a bloody rip-off. Because I was using odds and ends, still charging the same amount, and it was crap. But it is, there is a shortage. Plus, obviously most of the stuff's coming from Ireland, and there's a dispute with Brexit and all this crap, borders, anyway. If you don't see it, get it. Because Wilco and places like that, B&Q, as soon as they run out, they're in the quagmire as well. And this was Saturday, there's old Joe, look at that. He's had his suit turned up. I think he's had 4 inches took off the bottom.
It's a Jaffa.
Yeah, he took it off for a week.
A tango, man? You've been tango.
Tango, man.
Right, me booger. Now, this, I've snapped that, well, I've snapped the top off that, and it's come off clean. Dry, meaning it is dead wood. That one, I still don't want to job him yet. I'm still looking after him, i.e. keeping him warm and watering him. But I don't want to throw him away just in case he comes back again. So that one, I pruned him. Look after that chap, I know he's alright. Still looking after the other one. Right, World Gardening Day, Naked Day, 2021. This is 2 weeks away. I've done this for the last 5 or 6 years for our gardening club. I wanted to get a calendar together, but we only had 5 of us who got the guts to do it. I could even pick their own month. But if anybody's got the guts, you've got 2 weeks to find out a good one. Obviously, you got to get your plums out or your sprout, whatever it is. You might have both. If I didn't have both, you might bloody win.
Mick,
just take a photo and bung them in. It's only for a laugh.
Mick.
Email them to me if you got the guts, and I'll bung them in.
I'll get my chili pepper out.
Oh, to be a bloody sprout.
A little flowered.
And that was me about 4 years ago.
Man.
That was that's the first one I did. I was sat in a pile of rabbit muck.
Oh my god, your ass.
So you ain't got to show nothing.
Did you end up with thrush, mate?
Yeah, rabbit muck.
No.
Mick, have you got the one with the rhubarb?
You got worms.
Yeah,
you got worms.
I might show you that one next week.
I took the one with the picture. I took one. That was the rhubarb. I took that one. I thought, well, shit, man.
You was shaking like a leaf. I was bloody excited.
Oh.
I was worried.
Not surprised.
He got a smile on his face.
That one with the rhubarb, I showed it to Matt Biggs and he asked me to send it to him.
About the one you and Mark last year? It's up, the watering can.
You ought to get 5 years, Mick.
That's it then, people. Hope you've enjoyed it.